Yes, Mario took advantage of being around at the right time and place to be successful. Yes, he doesn't do anything that Peach or Toad couldn't theoretically do. And yes, he is a product of another time. But even with all of his shortcomings, no one seems to be able to fill the shoes of the man we've left behind and the legacy he created. Welcome to Deep Thoughts While Gaming. I'm Chris Chappell. The throne is empty, the people are lost, and we long for the return of the king. And Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door gives us just that. With quality of life changes, feeling more like fixing Mario's tie than kicking him to the curb, and gamers being given the opportunity to see their golden boy shine again. Because Mario is more than a man, he's an idea. He is our shared heritage. He is part of who we are and who we've been. Like George Washington, he isn't perfect, but that doesn't mean anyone can take his place on the $1 bill. And as Americans, maybe it's time we dust off our heroes and say, we're sorry. Because George Washington's dentures were made of slave teeth and metal fillings, tastefully on display at the George Washington Museum. But that's still our foredaddy. And as an American, I loves him. Because maybe I feel like I am him in some ways. Maybe I relate to him because the values he embodies are the values I grew up on. The values that I don't think make me out to be a monster. But maybe that's ignorant. Maybe I'm a product of another time. Maybe I require re-education. But maybe I'm just sick of every game being about evil Superman. Maybe I just want to play a Mario game without Nintendo pushing Peach on me. Maybe I want to live in a world where my heroes did at least something right. And maybe that throne smells a bit like sewage because Mario has always been a plumber, and George Washington owned slaves. They got these pipes up and running. And I'm sick of pretending that doesn't mean something. Because we're happy that Peach's new game has broken sales records. We're happy that Toad is now a playable character. We're happy that, unlike many other countries around the world today, we stopped doing slavery. And we don't think Mario is perfect, but we do think the video game industry today is built on the backs of people like him and his brother. And Paper Mario: The 1,000-Year Door does exactly what we craved for, in reminding us why. So get out of that closet, you don't have to be afraid anymore. Don your Mario cap with pride, as today we explore how even 1,000 years later, Mario is still saving the world, and why 20 years after the release of the original Paper Mario in 2004, everyone still loves this game. The story of Paper Mario follows fabled plumber Mario as he goes on another adventure to save Princess Peach. But this time it isn't from the lovely lizards you'd usually expect. Instead, we're confronted with the X-Nauts, a group of foreigners led by Fancy Pants Sir Grotus, who aspires towards world domination. His goal is to summon the ancient Shadow Queen, who 1,000 years ago conquered the main town of the game, Rougeport, before being sealed away behind the 1,000-Year Door. To awaken her, Grotus will need 8 star crystals scattered across this paper world and a pure maiden. And despite how many times she's been kidnapped, Princess Peach is apparently the one. But standing in their way is Mario and friends. The game itself is basically a turn-based combat game, with emphasis put on customization through a badge system, 7 friends you can rotate to fight with you, and response-based mechanics in relation to blocking, dodging, and getting critical hits. Now, there were concerns Nintendo, in trying to appeal to a larger audience, would make this game too easy, make it soft, like they did with Super Mario Odyssey, where you can turn off dying. But Mario was meant to be hard, Souls-like, something the American spirit understands. As in the world's greatest free market economy, you're gonna have to be tough to make it. You're gonna have to drink deep from the fountain of failure at times, and you may even find yourself at times crying like an Englishman without an empire. But somewhere deep in our communal psyche, it feels like we're starting to remember that we at least respect the struggle to succeed against insurmountable odds, that we value the pain required to accomplish great feats, that being crazy isn't always a bad thing. Like watching David Goggins zoom by in a full sprint, telling you you're fat and should be ashamed of yourself. It's kind of beautiful. And the beauty of struggle doesn't always look like the first mile of a run, as Goggins himself recounts on multiple occasions that finishing his first 100-mile race meant defecating on himself running the last 20 miles and then going to the hospital. That's what it takes to succeed, soy boy. But everyone wants to find faults these days, tear down heroes. David Goggins is, after all, mentally ill. A normal person would never act that way. And Mario is an Italian stereotype, teaching the wrong kinds of messaging to the kids. And Daddy Washington had a smile only Leatherface could love. But Daddy Washington also led a ragtag group of revolutionaries to freedom, defeating this world's version of the X-Nauts, the British, with their own alcohol-fueled plans for world domination. And as mentally ill and politically inappropriate as our favorite people may be, their haters have to face the fact that people still chose to follow them. Mario, racist stereotype, doesn't wear a backpack, yet like a mama kangaroo, he carries 1 to 6 friends on his person at all times, letting them out for air in the occasional cutscene. Where do they spend their time when not walking with Mario? Don't think about it too much. So are we just sheep following our leaders? No. We're cows. Renowned animal expert Temple Grandin, in a recent interview with Jordan Peterson, talks about her research on cows. She explains that the lead cow, the cow that leads the herd, is not the oldest or the most dominant, but is actually the boldest, the one who makes the first move. That's a Mario. We knew Mario before he even had his own game, as the protagonist in 1981's Donkey Kong. We've seen his struggle. His mistakes were our mistakes. His successes were our successes. Years before Peach had a voice, Mario was pushing the ball forwards towards a day when she could. Without the success of Mario, the hero many of us have forgotten, Princess Peach's showtime would not have been possible today. Mario was bold, and so was America. When you look at the painting Washington crossing the Delaware, it's hard not to shed a tear at the thought of our forefathers, all drunk in the middle of the day, rallying on the shores of that mighty river, half frozen by the bitter cold, ready to listen to their great leader, the strong, silent type, George Washington, explain his grand plan for how they would get around the frozen river. A moment of shuffling occurs. Then the crowd falls silent. George Washington's eyes go dark as his emotions overtake him. His neck muscles pulsate. He clenches his fist as he releases a roar into the air. His rage is felt amongst his men. The pain of a lifetime of dental infections, the pain of taxation, all too much for him to handle. His wig falls off to reveal he's balding. He wobbles and falls over. The room is spinning, but he gets back up. He always gets back up. His men cheer. The Quincy bacterial infection that would eventually take his life, forming behind his tonsils, making forming words difficult. His brain confused from the lead particles playing pinball in his skull. He braces himself against the flag and stands tall with only a bit of vomit on his shirt. There in front of the frozen Delaware River, with the British on the other side, wondering if those crazy Americans would come from the left or the right shore, and our forefather raised his fist and snarled, "We go through! Be proud of who you are!" Thank you for watching Deep Thoughts While Gaming. And remember, there's nothing wrong with being proud to be an American. And you can show your pride by liking and subscribing, or throw some of those coins you've collected over the years our way on patreon.com/gamersunbeaten. Or you can hit that join button to become a channel member. You'll get access to an exclusive Discord server, live streams, videos, emojis, and the love of me, your bold, charismatic cow. And here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like. The algorithm knows you better than you know yourself, so don't try to one-up it.